Hey there, YouTube. I'm going to do today a 1 year review on the Civivi Elementum here. I've actually had this knife a little over a year. I got it I'm sorry about the focus going in and out. I'm doing this with one hand. Had a little over a year. I got it last February, and this is the only one in S35 they had in stock was this JG10. I would have preferred the micarta, but, hey, you get what you get, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into my two suggestions I have for this knife. And the rest that I have to say about it is really just good things. My two suggestions are really just small little improvements that could be made if they ever made like a generation 2 or whatever. Stuff that'd be nice to see. But yeah, so let's get into it. Overall, it's been a great knife. You know, really enjoyed it. But yeah, so my first suggestion with it is the locking bar. You can see to the left there, you just got a tiny little bit of jimping sticking out there, which when it's dry is fine. It's no problems. You can work the action on it without any issue. But the issue is when it's wet, which I get it wet a lot. I'm out here fishing with it today actually. It's really hard to get that locking bar open because you just get that little bit of jimping on there. And what they could do is just take a little like fingernail size sliver, just a little sliver out of this curve right here of the handle material and of course the metal underneath it. That way you could kind of get that locking bar from the side rather than just having to rely on the jimping, and it would make it just a lot better to use. That's my biggest complaint with this knife. And the other little small suggestion is the curve on the this angle here. Come on, focus. You see how it kind of goes out and then drops straight down? It almost wants to throw your finger off to the side, like away from the oops, sorry about that, almost like away from the flipper tab. And I was looking at the other side, I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if the flipper tab was coming out like of a curve like this right about here, where it's just a smooth curve you could flick down onto. So that'd be nice if they could somehow mirror that that kind of smoothness, that curve right here where the tab is. It will make it just a little tiny. I mean, not even a real complaint. It would just kind of make it a little tiny bit nicer when you're trying to do that light switch action on it. But yeah, other than that, man, it's been a great knife. It's gotten pretty dull lately, and that's on me. Prior to owning this knife, I never sharpened my knives. I would just get a $20 knife, use it till it fell apart or got so dull it was unusable, throw it away and get another one. This is the first more expensive knife that I've got, and totally worth it. I mean, for 80 bucks, I mean, it's held up great. The centering on it is still perfect. There's no blade play. The action on it is great. And really, I've kind of just loosely cared for it. I'll wash it with hand soap, like soft soap, and cover it with cooking oil, canola oil, or just olive oil, whatever I got laying around. And yeah, man, it's really held up great. There's not a spot of rust on it. The dullness is from me. I noticed about 6 months ago it started to get pretty dull, but here recently it's really struggled. I mean, even things like little Amazon bags, it won't cut through. It just kind of like grabs them and like tears it open. So yeah, I definitely need to learn to sharpen my knives. But yeah, man, it's been a great knife. I really have no complaints. Some minor little cosmetic damage. You can see a crack forming in the G10 right there. That's just from re-dropping it. Not a big deal, but I've used this knife extensively. I mean, I've cut, oh man, all kind of stuff with it. Probably at least 100 yards of cardboard. I batoned with it out here. I know people say you're not supposed to baton your folders, but just know that if you do need to baton with this knife in a pinch or whatever, I haven't batoned a whole ton, but there have been days where I didn't have a machete with me and, needed to get through, wanted to cut some thorn vines or whatever, and this knife can totally handle it in a pinch. It's really held up. I've used it for food prep. I've cut 550 cord with it, netting, bungee cords. I mean, really, it's just a tank, man. It's just a nice, hardy knife. Razor sharp from the factory. Yeah, I mean, just real high quality, man. And basically that's it. I mean, I got nothing but really good things to say about this knife, other than it'd be really nice if they could make that locking bar, have some kind of little side access here. That's my biggest thing with this knife. And then, you know, the other thing about the curve here is really just kind of like a personal preference sort of deal. But yeah, great knife. So if you're thinking about getting one, don't hesitate. I mean, it's really held up, really been great, and I've used it for a lot of things and really enjoyed it. And that's it. That's all I got to say.